So he didn't do it. He's innocent. The bullet that deleted Charlie Kirk, it cannot be conclusively linked to the gun that they said Tyler Robinson used. The ATF has ran the analysis. The FBI is running more tests. And when one man inside the government tried to dig deeper into who really took out Charlie Kirk, Kash Patel shut him down. Y'all, we need to talk about this right now. Welcome back to my channel where we keep it real, we keep it relatable, and up on the latest news and current events. I'm your girl, Chabella, and today we are getting all the way into the Charlie Kirk murder case because new information dropped today that the mainstream media is not talking about it, y'all. So guess who got to talk about it? We got to talk about it. So 2 things happened first. A forensic bombshell about the bullet that took out Charlie Kirk. And second, a man inside the government said something isn't right here. And he was immediately shut down. Let's go, y'all. So for anyone who needs a refresher, Charlie Kirk, founder of the Turning Point USA, was deleted on September 10th, 2025. He was at Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah, doing a campus event, answering questions from the crowd when he was deleted. Now, Tyler Robinson, 22 years old, was arrested and charged with aggravated murder. So prosecutors are seeking the death penalty for him. And in the months since, here's what we thought we knew. Robinson allegedly texted his partner that he targeted Kirk because, and this is a direct quote, he had enough of his hatred. There's DNA that's consistent with Robinson's that's found on the trigger of the rifle, the fired cartridge casing, and 2 unfired cartridges. And near the scene, investigators found a decades-old German-made bolt-action rifle built for use in World War I and World War II. That's weird, but okay. So, on the surface, the case looked straightforward. Troubled young man, a motive, a gun, DNA, case closed, right? But that's what they wanted you to think. But here's where everything gets complicated. And I'm going to need y'all to stay locked in with me because the details matter. So Robinson's defense team filed new court documents, public court filings, and inside those documents, they revealed something that should have every single one of us raising an eyebrow. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, the ATF, ran a forensic ballistic analysis on the bullet fragment recovered from Charlie Kirk's autopsy. The job is to conclusively match the bullet to the rifle found near the scene. The rifle, they say, Tyler Robinson used. But, and this is a big but, they could not do it. They couldn't match it, y'all. The ATF report, which has been kept privately, but attorneys cited in public filings, say the results were inconclusive. They cannot conclusively connect the bullet that took out Charlie Kirk to that rifle. Now, I need to be accurate here because this is too important to get wrong. Forensic ballistics works by looking for microscopic markings left on a bullet as it travels through a gun barrel. Scratches that are like fingerprints. No 2 firearms make identical markings. So, if the bullet matches the gun, you've got a direct forensically. They don't have that link, not conclusively. And there's more. The DNA. Yes, Robinson's DNA is on the rifle, but defense attorneys also pointed out that multiple people's DNA was found on some of those same items, which means the DNA picture is more complicated than the prosecution is letting on. So the FBI is now running a second bullet analysis because apparently the first one wasn't enough to close the door. And Robinson's own attorney said, and I'm quoting from the court filing, they may present the ATF analysis as a witness for the defense. Let that sink in. The government's own forensic analyst may end up being called to help the man accused of the deletion. Now, does this mean Tyler Robinson didn't do it? I'm not saying that. possible. The prosecution still has DNA evidence. They still have the text messages. They still have what they believe is the weapon. But it does mean if the bullet cannot be matched to the gun, then there are serious questions about whether we have the full picture. And that's not a conspiracy theory. That's the defense team working with government-produced evidence. But if the bullet don't fit, then we must acquit. But here's where the story goes from complicated to something else entirely. Joe Kent, for those who don't know him, Joe Kent was the director of the National Counterterrorism Center. That is a high-level, serious intelligence position. This man's job was to investigate threats to American security and figure out who is behind major acts of political violence. And after Charlie Kirk was deleted, Joe Kent and the National Counterterrorism Center began looking into the case. And then they were stopped cold. Kent sat down with Tucker Carlson earlier this month and said, quote, "The investigation that I was a part of, the National Counterterrorism Center was a part of, we were stopped from continuing to investigate."
Robinson is a lone gunman, and maybe he is. But the investigation that I was a part of, the National Counterterrorism Center was a part of, we were stopped from continuing to investigate. And the FBI will say that they stopped that because they wanted to turn everything over to the Utah state authorities. Everything's going to trial. It's very, very sensitive. But there was still a lot for us to look into that I can't really get into, but there was still linkage for us to investigate that we needed to run down. I'm not making any conclusions. I'm not saying
I don't think you are.
Because of this happened. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying there's unanswered questions. We know the pressure because of the text messages that have been made public, that Charlie was under a lot of pressure from a lot of pro-Israel donors. And again,
can I just ask you to pause on the Charlie Kirk because it upsets me to hear what you're saying.
There was a lot more linkage. That word, the former director of the National Counterterrorism Center said there was linkage. They still needed to investigate, and they were stopped before they could run it down. I wonder why. What linkage? To who? To what? Either because he doesn't know yet or because he legally can't say. But he also said this in the same interview. The last thing Charlie Kirk said to him personally before he was deleted was, "Stop us from getting into the war with Iran." And then Kent went on to suggest that Israel may have had a role in Kirk's deletion. Now, I want to be very clear. Kent was not making a definitive accusation. He was raising questions that his investigation was trying to answer before they were shut down. But that's significant because if there was a geopolitical angle to Charlie Kirk's assassination and the investigation was stopped before it could be fully explored, that is a story that goes far beyond a 22-year-old with a text message and a rifle. Don't you think? So who stopped Joe Kent? Who decided the National Counterterrorism Center needed to sit down and let Utah handle it? Well, according to reporting from CNN and People magazine, FBI Director Kash Patel chastised Joe Kent for attempting to access FBI systems to further research Charlie Kirk's deletion. Of course he did. The head of the FBI told the head of counterterrorism to back off the Charlie Kirk investigation. And now there is an FBI investigation into Joe Kent himself for allegedly leaking classified information. Sources that investigation started before Kent even resigned. So let me lay this out plain. The man who was trying to dig deeper into the assassination of one of the most prominent conservative voices in America was shut down, chastised, and is now under federal investigation. And he resigned, citing his opposition to the war in Iran, the same war that Charlie Kirk told him we needed to stop before he was deleted. Now, I'm not telling you what to believe. I'm telling you what the facts are. And the facts are definitely uncomfortable. But here's what I keep coming back to. And I'm saying this as someone who who keeps it, real with you all. When the bullet doesn't match the gun, that's a legal problem. When the investigator trying to dig deeper gets shut down by the FBI director, well then that's a transparency problem. When the man who gets shut down says there was still linkage to investigate, that's a credibility problem. And when all three of those things are happening at the same time, while Tyler Robinson sits in a Utah jail facing the deletion penalty, well, that's a justice problem. Now, Tyler Robinson may be guilty, maybe. The prosecution still has a case, but in America, you don't get to execute someone when the government's own forensic analysis couldn't conclusively match the murder bullet to the murder weapon. That is not how justice is supposed to work. And Joe Kent, whatever you think of him politically, he was trying to do his job. He was following the thread and he got cut off. Sounds like scandal to me, but why? By who? On whose orders? Those are the questions we should all be demanding answers to, regardless of what side of the aisle Kirk was on. A man was deleted. The investigation was blocked. The evidence has holes all in it. And everybody deserves the truth. So here's what I want from you today. I want you to drop down in the comments. Do you think Tyler Robinson acted alone? Do you think that Tyler Robinson didn't do it at all? Do you think the investigation should be reopened? And do you trust what we're being told about what happened that day at Utah Valley University? Let's have a real conversation that everyone can join in and is built for. If this is your first time here, welcome. Hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so you never miss when we're getting into it. And share this video because people need to know what's in these court documents. I'm Chop Bella. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until next time, chat with you later.